Hi there, I am Debasish Roy and you are watching CEO Capsule. I hope now you're all familiar with this channel. Here we talk about companies, CEOs, and the problems they might face during their daily activities and how to come up with a wonderful solution, how to take your business global, how to succeed on all fronts. Today, we shall talk about the dynamics of processes from the craftsmanship or the artisan stage, where creativity of the team members is greater, involved in a greater way, right down to the factory mode of production, where you mass produce things. What are the benefits of each mode of production, the factory mode of production and the customized mode of production, and what are the pitfalls, what are the problems associated with them? We are doing this today to identify a thought process which a CEO might follow to identify what kind of path that his company or her company could follow. I hope this will turn into a lively discussion online. Let's go ahead with it. But before we go ahead with our topic today, I have to inform you that a lot of people got back to me and requested that I ought to break into Hindi every now and then. Some of the people who listen to this channel wish that I speak in Hindi, also in Hindi, apart from speaking in English. So I shall oblige. मेरे काफी चाहने वालों का कहना है कि मैं अंग्रेजी के साथ हिंदी भी बोलता रहूं. तो आज हम थोड़ा हिंदी में भी बात करेंगे. So all of us know how industry began in Europe during the medieval period. More or less, industry was born in Europe in various form of craftsmanship. You must have heard about, in medieval times, you had those expert stonemasons. They were highest paid in any building activities. The stonemasons used to shape stones into certain various forms, and then those were used on walls for decorations. They were the highest paid. And then came other people, the other kind of masons, the masons who dealt with the mortar and the structural people. The stonemasons were artists, they were the creative people. So the creative people got paid the highest in the medieval times. And then slowly various craftsmanship areas were explored. And then industries, in the next few hundred years, industry spread throughout the world. If we read the Cambridge history of England and Europe, it gives us a very clear picture. Industry began out of machines being created for farming or farmlands. You had the water mills that ran on the force of running stream of water. You had windmills that ran on the force of wind hitting the blades. So mechanical engineering in its basic form came of age at that time. So ये जो शिल्प कला है या इंडस्ट्री को क्या कहेंगे हम हिंदी में? शिल्प कला ही कहेंगे. जो फैक्ट्री का काम है ये यूरोप में इसका पैदावार हुआ था. यूरोप में ये शुरुआत हुई थी. यूरोप में क्या हुआ था कि आपका ब्लैक प्लेग नाम का एक बीमारी आई थी. तो ब्लैक प्लेग ने क्या किया था, 30% जो जनसंख्या था उसको मार डाला था. और काम करने वाले लोग बहुत कम हो गए थे. तो काम अगर नहीं कर सकेंगे तो धीरे धीरे आपको मशीन बनाने पड़ेंगे. तो इंडस्ट्रियल रेवोल्यूशन जिसको कहते हैं, मशीनीकरण जो क्या कहते हैं इसको, आपका विप्लव जो आया था, रेवोल्यूशन आया था, क्रांति, मशीनीकरण क्रांति जो आई थी, तो वो यूरोप में आई थी. इसका कारण ये था कि ज्यादातर लोग जो काम करने वाले लोग थे वो मर गए थे. 30% जनसंख्या खत्म हो गई थी ब्लैक प्लेग नामक एक बीमारी के कारण. तो उसी से ही इंडस्ट्री का मशीनीकरण, शिल्पकरण, इसका जन्म हुआ यूरोप में. तो धीरे धीरे क्या हुआ, हर हजार किस्म के, हजार तरीकों के जो मशीन है वो बनते गए. जैसे विंड मिल्स हैं या किसान मतलब खेती करने के लिए जो चीजें बनाई जाती हैं, या एक घर बनाने के जो छोटे छोटे औजार हैं, ये बनने शुरू हो गए. So slowly and gradually machines made things faster and cheaper Bulk buying of raw material and machines used to make standardized form of products, made things cheaper and cheaper, but they also made things standardized. जितना मशीनीकरण हुआ उतनी फैक्ट्री की तरफ आदमी बढ़ते गए. फैक्ट्री की तरफ आदमी बढ़ते गए जब, तब क्या हुआ, एक जैसी चीज बननी शुरू हो गई. आपका जो जूता खरीदते हैं उसके लाखों जूते बनते हैं एक तरह के. आप घड़ी खरीदते हैं, वो घड़ी एक तरह की लाखों घड़ियां बनती है. तो इससे क्या हुआ, चीजें सस्ती होती गई, लेकिन वो एक तरह की ही होती गई. पहले क्या होता था, किसी हुनर वाले व्यक्ति को आप कहते थे कुछ बनाने के लिए, तो वो बनती थी एक एक तरह की बनती थी. मुझे ऐसी चाहिए, मेरे पड़ोसी को दूसरी तरह की चाहिए. वो महंगी होती थी और वक्त लगता था. So that means you cannot get or buy what you want, but you can buy a copy of the hundreds or millions of copies of a product at very low prices. आज भी वही हो रहा है. Even today, that is the case. In this factory mode of productions, prices are determined by the seller and not by the buyer. The buyer does not start thinking that I can spend so much on food, I can spend so much on rent, I can spend so much buying a new phone or a shoe or a car. The buyer goes out to the market and explores what kind of cars are available, what are the prices available, what are the shoes available, what are their prices, and then decides the budget, right? So it has, the factory mode of production dictates a seller's market, not a buyer's market. A buyer generally doesn't take very hard decisions. He only adapts or accommodates himself to the seller's production methodology. It is the seller who establishes a very strong supply chain and low cost of production. Then the seller creates demand either through word of mouth or through advertising. जो विक्रेता होता है वो अपनी बाजार खुद बनाता है. वो खरीदारी में बहुत सस्ती खरीदता है, उसका माल बनाता है, माल बना के वो बेचता है. जब बेचता है तो वो सोचता है कि मैं ये दाम में बेचूंगा. जो खरीदने वाला होता है आज के दिन में, वो देखता है कि बाजार में क्या दाम है, उसके बाद वो सोचता है कि कितना खर्च करूं, कैसे खर्च करूं, कहां से खर्च करूं. ठीक है ना. तो अभी ये विक्रेता का बाजार हो गया है. जब से ये फैक्ट्री मोड ऑफ प्रोडक्शन हुआ है, विक्रेता का बाजार हो गया है. So a suitable comparison would be a stagecoach or a bullock cart being engaged. This is for services. After a dozen or so people decide that they want to travel to a particular town across a stretch of a few hundred miles, right? Okay. So now what is happening today? Today there's a train or a standardized form of service because we know that a demand exists from millions of customers for traveling between that stretch. If I want to take a flight to London from New Delhi, there's a certain amount of demand. The airline company knows that that company can expect a few million people or a few thousand people to come and buy those tickets. And those tickets have standardized prices, standardized services, standardized offerings, right? So this is the factory mode of production for services. Now, this stagecoach or the bullock cart owner will look for food or water for his horses or bullocks as and when he reaches a resting point. Now, if you note, I'm not saying he or she here, because I'm sure there were very few, maybe there weren't any female stagecoach drivers. Okay, fine, prove me wrong. Today, such resting points and the sourcing of food and water for other services, such as cleaning the stagecoach or cleaning the horses' hoofs or whatever, are through long-term contracts. Today, an airline has a stopover in Paris. There's a long-term contract for cleaning services, for resupplying, restocking, because we can plan ahead because of the factory mode of production. We know the kind of demand that will come, the pricing of that demand. So the factory mode of production makes things easier, cheaper, easier, ability to plan ahead. That was not possible with the customized mode of production. This was an example of services. Now we can find similar examples of goods such as wristwatches, clocks, shoes, writing material, or even food. A paper mill or a notebook binding service exists because every player in the supply chain is confident of the demand for that particular type of product. आपने फोन खरीदा होगा, हैंडहेल्ड मोबाइल फोन्स और डिजिटल रिस्ट वॉचेस are manufactured in millions because people buy them in millions, right? The demand is in millions for standardized products. However, I cannot obtain a customized phone. If I want a phone, you know, with a bigger screen or a bigger battery life or a certain kind of structure of the body, certain material being used in the body, I can't do that. The factory mode of production doesn't allow that. So therefore, we know that the factory production mode kills creativity. जब ये factory production mode आ जाता है, तब आपका जो हस्तकला है, हस्तकला या हुनर है, एक इंसान का जो हुनर है, वो उसका इस्तेमाल कम हो जाता है. The factory mode of production also pushes products which the customer may not want. शायद मुझे ये चाहिए ही ना हो जो बाजार में बिकता है, लेकिन मुझे खरीदना पड़ेगा. The customer may not want it, but the customer may not have any choice in the matter. If the raw material is cheap and the production price is low, then the customer may have to buy that product even if he or she does not want it that much. I want something, but it doesn't exist in the market. So I have to buy what is there in the market right now. I want to buy a certain kind of pen or a certain kind of, let's say, car, or I want my house being constructed with certain kind of मटेरियल. मैं अपना घर बनाना चाहता हूँ एक तरह की चीजों से, लेकिन वो चीजें मिलती नहीं है बाजार में क्योंकि फैक्ट्री मोड ऑफ प्रोडक्शन में वो अलाउ नहीं करती है. तो मुझे वही खरीदना पड़ेगा जो बाजार में है. I have to buy something that exists in the market. I don't have a choice. So the same is the case with food, the food industry. Restaurants are food factories which exist for a particular kind of menu that is advertised. However, the shelf life of products that come out of a restaurant is limited, right? Restaurants are instant factories of food. So if we extend the concept of food factories, we have restaurants at one end, standard home delivery menus, processed food in packaging, frozen food in packaging, condiments such as mustard and ketchup. So there's a whole range of food products where food businesses can thrive. All these models have different supply chains and unique pricing models. आप अगर फूड का जो खाने का जो धंधा है उसको देखें तो एक तो हो गया आपके खाने के ढाबा जो है, रेस्टोरेंट हो गया. दूसरा आपके जो होम डिलीवरी वाले स्टैंडर्ड मेनू है, ये मेरा मेनू है, ये होम डिलीवरी करूंगा मैं, मेरा एक किचन है लेकिन बैठने की जगह नहीं है, वो एक तरह का हो गया. दूसरा है प्रोसेस्ड फूड, मतलब आपके मुड़ुक्कू, ये जो मिक्सचर, मूंग दाल फ्राई वगैरह वगैरह, ये प्रोसेस्ड फूड है जो पैकेट में बिकती है. फ्रोजन फूड भी होती है, आइसक्रीम्स हो गए, दूध हो गया, घी तो उतना नहीं, घी तो फिर भी फ्रोजन की जरूरत नहीं है. जैसे आपके कॉन्डिमेंट्स हो गए, मस्टर्ड हो गया, बंगाल में कासुंदी मिलती है, केचप हो गया, दूसरे काइंड ऑफ सॉसेज होते हैं, तरला दलाल के सॉसेज आते हैं बॉटल्स में. तो ये खाने का जो धंधा है ये बहुत तरह के होते हैं और हर तरह के धंधे में अलग सप्लाई चेन होती है, अलग प्राइसिंग मॉडल्स होता है. और if we revisit the idea of factory production versus customized production, then we notice that the more a restaurant owner sticks to the customized production model, the more satisfied the customer may be. जैसे मान लीजिए एक रेस्टोरेंट है, उसमें एक कस्टमर अंदर जाता है, वो बोलता है यार नमक कम है या मिर्च मुझे ज्यादा चाहिए. तो ये क्या हुआ, ये कस्टमाइजेशन हो गया. तो कस्टमाइजेशन जितना ज्यादा होता है उतनी खुशी होती है, कस्टमर उतना खुश होता है. If the restaurant owner tries the factory mode of production, in other words, take it or leave it, this is the slop we cook, if you don't like it, try elsewhere, then customers may be dissatisfied. Of course, the wrong customer for whom the product or the service is not intended will always be dissatisfied. So the target audience is very important. If a customer is looking for salad and he is presented, or he or she is presented with curry, then you know the result, right? So restaurant का जो मॉडल है वो कस्टमाइजेशन का एक प्योर मॉडल बोल सकते हैं हम, कि प्योर की तरफ जाता है वो. तो आपका जो ये कस्टमाइजेशन जितना करेंगे वो कस्टमर उतना खुश होगा। लेकिन अगर फैक्ट्री मोड ऑफ प्रोडक्शन में जाएंगे कि भाई हम तो यही बेचते हैं, ये लेना है लो, नहीं तो जाओ यहाँ से, तो वो क्या हो गया, ये मैकडोनल्ड्स जैसा हो गया। मैकडोनल्ड्स का फैक्ट्री मोड ऑफ प्रोडक्शन है, उनका एक प्रोसेस है, उनका एक सिस्टम है, उनके बर्गर्स एक जैसे होते हैं, और वही बर्गर खाने के लिए लोग वहां जाते हैं। वहां जाके कोई बोलेगा नहीं कि बटर चिकन लाओ, क्योंकि उनको पता है कि क्या मिलेगा यहाँ पे, और जो बटर चिकन ढूंढ रहा है वो मैकडोनल्ड से खुश नहीं होगा। तो आपका टारगेट ऑडियंस बहुत जरूरी होता है। इस टाइप के ये जो फर्क होता है फैक्ट्री मोड ऑफ प्रोडक्शन और कस्टमाइजेशन में, आपका टारगेट ऑडियंस भी बहुत क्लियरली आपको समझना पड़ेगा। Even in other areas, this holds true. Even high-end and private sector hospitality came of age in India. Before it happened, we had government-owned hotels and guest houses offering bad service and food. So what happened was, of course, that's not a clear definition of a factory mode of production or a customization. It's an example of monopoly. Now, Air India as a monopoly offered coconut water sometimes for a brief period to Europeans and Americans because they said it's a part of our culture. Well, who cares about your culture? The customer is right. The customer wants something. He's paying for it. You better give that customer something. Now, Doordarshan offered Krishi Darshan with content on farming to the urban customer, so on and so forth. Wrong target audience, bad result. So we see that all businesses exist at various places on this scale of custom to factory, or the C2F scale. This channel, I call it the C2F scale. So every business offers unique dynamics depending on where it is on the C2F scale. So if it is your business, you have to decide where on the C2F scale do I lie. Am I a consulting firm? A consulting firm is more to the customization area. Am I a company which sells computer desktops? Then it's on the factory mode of production. Or you can have a hybrid model too. So owing to technology, chiefly the internet, we have been successful in creating pull systems of production where the factory mode is used, but the customer can still demand his own features. You can pull it. This was started from the Toyota production system. Now we see it in many industries. Today, we celebrate it as the lean management system. My company is an expert on the lean management system. If you want me to come and look at problems in your company or goals in your company, set a vision, then you can comment below and then interact with me. So today, because of this lean management system, we can accommodate customer feedback with the pull system of production and continuously make changes in the products as we sell. Fine. If you want to hear more on this, do get back to me with a message below. If you want me to come over and take a look at your company, again, interact with me with a message below. That's all for today. I'm Debasish Roy, and you're watching CEO Capsule.